The Miami Heat have been shopping around former All-Star wing Andrew Wiggins. But so far, their trade conversations with the Los Angeles Lakers have stalled because of their trade demands. According to Jovan Buha of the Buha's Block podcast, the Heat have a steep asking price for the 30-year-old Wiggins. "I don't know if Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleber, Shake Milton, and a first-round pick gets you Andrew Wiggins," Buha said, replying to a question from a fan of his podcast on his hypothetical trade for the Heat forward. "I've reported/shared what I've heard, which is that Miami has been asking for a first and Dalton Connect, which is an overpay for Wiggins. I think they also want Rui Hachimura, too, because they want to remain competitive. Obviously, Rui is a better player than Gabe or Maxi. Miami's asking price has to drop, as I've said before." On June 25th, Anthony Irwin of Clutch Points reported that the Heat were interested in Hachimura in a potential deal involving Wiggins. After reporting the Lakers checked in with the Heat about Wiggins' price, sources tell Clutch Points that trade talks have advanced to the next step, though nothing is considered imminent as of right now. Irwin wrote, "It turns out the Heat wanted more than just Hachimura, which is why a Wiggins trade for the Lakers has not happened yet. Heat offered Andrew Wiggins in final Kevin Durant trade offer. In the aftermath of the Heat losing out on the Kevin Durant sweepstakes, they have made Wiggins available," Clutch Points' Brett Siegel reported on June 24th. "Teams are wondering what is next with the Miami Heat after striking out on a Durant trade," Siegel wrote. "Miami continues to make Andrew Wiggins available in trade talks and would be willing to part with the 20th pick in the NBA draft for an upgrade alongside Tyler Herro and Bam Adebayo," sources said. Wiggins was part of the Heat's final package for Durant. Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald reported that the Heat's final offer was Wiggins, Terry Rozier, two bench players, Jamie Jaquez Jr. and Haywood Smith, and this year's 20th pick. But the Rockets made a better offer to steal Durant away from the Heat. The Heat didn't beat the Rockets' package consisting of former number 1 pick Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the number 10 pick, Duke center Common Maluak, in last month's draft, a second-round pick in the 2025 draft, and 4 other second-round picks, per ESPN. Andrew Wiggins' underwhelming playoff run. Wiggins posted solid numbers for the Heat since he arrived, averaging 19.0 points, 4.2 rebounds, 3.3 assists, 1.1 steals, and 1.0 block in 17 games. But the alarming drop of his performance in the Heat's lopsided playoff loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers could have factored in the Heat's decision to look to move on from him. Wiggins' numbers plummeted to 11.5 points, 3.3 rebounds, and 2.3 assists per game in the Cavaliers' 4-0 sweep of the Heat. He arrived mid-season as part of the Jimmy Butler return package from the Golden State Warriors. Between the Warriors and the Heat, Wiggins averaged 18.0 points, 4.5 rebounds, 2.6 assists while shooting 45% from the field, 37% from three-point line across 60 games. The 30-year-old and D-Wing was an All-Star 3 seasons ago when he helped the Warriors win their last championship over the Boston Celtics in 2022. Wiggins has 2 more years left. Last year's $30.2 million player option in his 4-year, $109 million contract. Lifelong soccer fan Victor Domois expressed concern about the United States co-hosting the 2026 World Cup after attending a recent Club World Cup match in Miami. "I think after the Copa America, a weird phenomenon has occurred here," said Domois, who is from Spain. "There's people that don't like the World Cup being in the United States." The Copa America Championship game last year in Miami was a security nightmare, with overheated and ticketless fans breaking down the barriers at Hard Rock Stadium to get inside. Eventually, the game was played, although some paying customers never were able to get to their seats because they were occupied. Some cited the debacle as one example of how unprepared the United States is to host soccer's biggest tournament. Fast forward to this summer and the 32-team Club World Cup hosted solely in the United States. Dumois said security was tight this time around, almost to a fault. "In Spain, it is different. You can just have an Uber or taxi take you right up to the stadium," Dumois said, sharing his thoughts on the round 16 match between Real Madrid and Juventus. "Here in Miami, they have to leave you outside and far away. There's so many layers of security, it's too much." The Club World Cup, which is entering the quarterfinals this weekend, has served as a tune-up for the United States which, along with Canada and Mexico, will host the 2026 World Cup in cities like Miami, Atlanta, Boston, Dallas, Houston, Kansas City, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Seattle. So far, the club tournament has not been well attended, except for a handful of matches. A round of 16 knockout match at Charlotte's 75,000-seat Bank of America Stadium between Fluminense and Inter Milan drew just 20,030 fans. Stadium officials allowed fans who'd purchased upper deck tickets to move down to the lower bowl. Even then, lower bowl looked half full. Empty seats have been a common sight across the country. The weather hasn't helped either. Players have been forced to play with temperatures above 90 degrees Fahrenheit, 32 Celsius, while a major heat wave gripped the states. It hasn't been easy on fans either. "There's no roof, no screens, not much," said Carlos Olwin, who made the trek from Mexico to Charlotte to watch Pachuca play Real Madrid. Next year's World Cup will be played during a similar time frame, beginning in mid-June and concluding in mid-July. As for the venues, spectators attending Club World Cup matches offered differing reviews of American stadiums and host cities leading up to the country hosting the World Cup for the first since 1994. "I'll be honest, the U.S. is not ready to host the World Cup," said Jeremy Zuniga from South Carolina. "There's too many people coming from South America, Europe, everybody." Others, like Rogerio Bajos from Peru, feel differently. "I think it's been good. We haven't had any problems," said Bajos, who also attended a CWC game in Miami. "The parking is no problem, the security has been good. Overall, a stupendous spectacle." The Miami Heat faced a lot of criticism in the offseason for their poor efforts with roster construction. Having made no significant moves thus far, Miami appears to be lacking as a threat in the East. With Pat Riley clearly expressing that the team would not be running it back this season, it was evident that the roster would see some changes. The Heat had major offseason plans, primarily associated with bringing in a star-caliber player to form a new Big Three. In this regard, the Heat have shown an interest in acquiring several big names such as Zion Williamson and Kevin Durant. Unfortunately, none of these trades materialized. Instead, all the franchise has seen in the offseason is Duncan Robinson's departure and the addition of Simone Fontecchio. With talented players like Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro headlining for the team, the Heat need to add more talent, particularly to their undersized frontcourt. In an attempt to keep them competitive, we present a trade proposal that allows Miami to upgrade its power forward position while offloading an underperforming asset. Proposed trade details. Miami Heat receive John Collins. Utah Jazz receive Terry Rozier, 2027 second-round pick. OKC/NYK/SAS swap, 2031 second-round pick, UTA swap. The trade doesn't move the needle for either team, but it gives Miami something to build off of. With an intention to become a more competitive side next season, the addition of John Collins could help propel the team forward. The Heat bolster their frontcourt. John Collins' arrival spells some changes to the Miami Heat's current starting rotation. While the backcourt would remain largely unchanged, the frontcourt would see a massive upgrade in talent. Heat forward Andrew Wiggins has garnered a lot of interest from the Los Angeles Lakers in trade rumors this offseason. But if the Heat choose to retain him, he would start in the small forward position next to Collins and Adebayo to fill out the team's frontcourt trio. Collins brings a lot of length to the Heat team. While his defensive prowess is lacking, the forward brings a lot to the table with his offensive skill and versatility. Last season, the Jazz big man notched an average of 19.0 points and 8.2 rebounds while shooting 52.7% from the field and 39.9% from three-point range. While being a reliable presence on the perimeter, Collins is also a very capable player in the post. His athleticism also allows him to be an effective rim runner and lob threat, a bonus when paired with Bam Adebayo. At 6 feet 9 inches, he doesn't solve the team's need for size, but he does bring a lot of flexibility with regard to their rotations. With young centers like Kel'el Ware and Vladislav Golden on the bench, the Heat could have a very reliable big man rotation going next season. The trade is also low risk for the Heat as Collins is on an expiring contract. With almost $27 million coming off the books next season after the forward hits free agency, Miami could expand its cap space to sign a superstar. The Jazz acquire Rozier with picks. This trade deal has a lot less value for the Utah Jazz than it does for the Heat, but it does promote their ongoing rebuild. With the acquisition of Terry Rozier, the Jazz add a veteran point guard who also happens to be on an expiring contract. The addition of Rozier comes at a necessary juncture as Jordan Clarkson completes his buyout to join the New York Knicks. Although Rozier can't effectively match Clarkson's scoring output, he would prove to be a solid scoring option off the bench. Last season, the veteran guard recorded an average of 10.7 points, 3.6 rebounds, and 2.6 assists per game. These numbers were a sharp decline from his time with the Charlotte Hornets only a season ago, where he averaged 23.2 points and 6.6 assists per game before joining the Heat. While these could be attributed to the fewer minutes he played, Rozier also faced backlash in light of his betting controversy. The result was lower productivity, which has undoubtedly affected his stock. Despite this, the guard has garnered some interest from teams in the trade market, all the same. But in a deal with the Jazz, the Heat would need to part with some draft compensation to sweeten the deal. Hence, Miami sends the 2027 and 2031 second-round pick swaps to Utah, with the 2031 belonging to the Jazz initially. Are the Miami Heat contenders in the East? The Miami Heat are at a very awkward point in the offseason. After their failures in the playoffs, it was widely expected that the team would be aggressive in strengthening its roster. This has not been the case. While they still have some talented pieces on their team, the Heat are far from being viewed as contenders, even in a particularly weakened Eastern Conference. Although the team has drafted well, there is a lot of work to do if the franchise intends to stay competitive. With a long off-season left to go, the Heat have ample time to make the right moves to build a more cohesive lineup.